All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mindset Masters. Good to see you guys here tonight. We're just getting the Facebook feed up and running. Have a amazing special treat for you guys tonight. Really excited about this. But before we get going, guys, as always, I'd love to share any wins for the week. We did the meditation and get your mind right and get you guys centered. And I'd love to start off with some wins for the week. Who's got something they'd love to share?
I have lots of wins.
What do you got?
Like I literally wrote a list.
I love it.
Okay, so first I'm on a working vacation.
Nice.
I took a working vacation. So half of the vacation is spent working and recording all these videos, and the other half has got some fun day trips planned.
Love it.
So 80% of my website is done. So the bulk of the site is done. I have to go back and check out the mobile and add all the PayPal stuff and get the buttons in and link them, and then add all the videos when all the classes are done. I was gifted a free ticket to Rank Makers Live.
Oh, wow.
Somebody who's a Rank Maker Lifer had the opportunity to share a ticket with anybody in Rank Makers. They had to write a little reason of why. And she said she would draw the winner at the end of this week, but she ended up drawing it last week and I was chosen. So I'm super excited.
That's a huge win. Yeah, you're on fire.
I got more. I'm not done yet. So the gym was taking names and numbers to register for 2 weeks first free personal training. I got a call last week. I'm the winner of 2 weeks free personal training.
Wow.
So I'm taking advantage of that at the end of September when they start Butt Camp. It's another competition I'm going to do. So that way I can get all the training to help me with that program to start off. I saved extra money on 2 kayaking trips I'm doing, one in Hilton Head tomorrow and one on Friday in Charleston. And then I saved money on a horseback riding I'm doing on Thursday in Savannah. I finished recording all the website videos. So my website course, all the videos are done. I just have to go back and do some splicing out, some edit of some sections. I am halfway through recording my Illustrator drop-down menus. The dialog box is done, the general menu box is done, and half the drop-downs are done. I got 4 more left, and then I got to go through the toolbar, and then I can start showing how to do other things. So I am making like there's this major explosion of stuff going on right now, and it is insane. Well, it's like amazing.
Tonight is going to be an absolute treat that you guys, none of you know what's going on here. You're going to see how much of a fit this is. And so guys, when I talk about wins for the week, this is what the F I'm talking about, right? You guys should have a whole list of what's awesome. You know, I mean, if you can grab a cup of coffee, if you get a roof over your head, if you can turn the tap and get warm water, but certainly, you know, Stacy, you get a long list of things, and it just tells me you're focusing on what's good. It's so easy to get wrapped up and focus on what's not good, and that's what most of the world's doing. So, but not here in the Mindset Masters. So thanks for leading us off in a major high vibration. Who else has something they'd love to share?
Brian.
Jaleesa and then Adam.
So after talking to several people today, I decided this weekend while I'm in Maine, I'm going to start writing a book, my story. Start writing my story, and in order to empower others who have been through struggles and obstacles, and therefore it's going to help other people, because I'm going to be collaborating with several people who have been molested and raped, and we can share our stories. And I just met with a woman today who can help me get my book to a publishing company.
Oh, perfect. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And it's not your first rodeo either, so you know what to do and what not to do, and I love it.
Yeah, but it just takes the time to get to focus on writing.
Yeah.
And I was allowing some fear to hold me back.
Bob wrote his first book. He did 1 page a day for 365 days.
Wow.
That's what it took, like 30 minutes every day from 5 o'clock to 6 a.m. He just did that for a year. And 20 years later, you could have 20 books. I mean, you could do more than most people do, right? It's just simple. It's the simple things, guys, you know? So I love that, Jaleesa. So any help you need, let us know.
Thank you.
Mr. Adam, what about you, brother? And then we'll get started.
Quickly, I have done the subtitling of the videos, which makes history TIR program for Hungarians. So I'm very, very happy about that we actually going to bring this knowledge to a whole nation. And also on the publishing side, have my publishing company right now in the process of having 3 books of Bob's paid for the rights. The Lay's book, which is you can change your life, change your paradigm, change your paradigm, change your life. And then the 2 books that I actually have translated before, which is The Art of Living and the 12 Success Principles. So we're gonna bring Bob to the Hungarian audience in a big time in widescreen, and all the knowledge and everything they can learn from Bob, which is like, I think, an amazing fact.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You guys are reshaping the planet over there. So if you guys don't know, I think it's 2 a.m. over there. Is that right, Adam? 2?
It's only 1.
It's only 1 o'clock, only 1 a.m. So there's, whenever you guys get serious and get committed, let me know. So good to see you guys. So awesome, guys. We have an extra special treat tonight. A friend of mine, a dear colleague, that's really at the top of her game in a certain space that a lot of you are going to need. You either need now or you're going to need as you're growing businesses, guys, and you're building out, VP of sales, VP of marketing, director of operations, CFO, COO, whatever your companies are. One of the first things that a new company needs is financial, right? And a good CFO is $250,000 a year. So it's not the first thing that somebody can hire full time. So I wanted to bring on a friend of mine who's at the top of her game in something called as a fractional CFO. And she's going to talk to you guys a little bit about financial literacy and what a fractional CFO is, but it's somebody that you can work with on a part-time basis that can just magnify your expenses and just see, where you're bleeding, where you can grow, just really get you rocking and rolling. It's an invaluable service. And I'm just really pleased to have Pam Jordan with us here tonight. So Pam, I don't know if you need screen share, but I gave it to you. Anything you need, this is the Mindset Masters Group. These people are all over the world. They're hungry, not just from Hungary. They're hungry people, and they're just motivated. And, I think what you're going to share here tonight is going to really bring some value. So thanks for coming, number one, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to talk to all of you entrepreneurs and business owners today. And so just a little bit of background, worked for other companies for a long time. I'll get into it a little bit, but ultimately got to a point where I was ready to build my own legacy, and I was tired of building someone else's. And I realized that I could help a lot of people by starting my own company rather than just helping one entrepreneur at a time. So that's kind of how I got started and where I am. And so now I've built a couple of companies that help business owners from startup all the way to multi-million understand to get clarity of their numbers. Because I'm pretty sure most of you are ballers at whatever your skill set is, but like reconciliation might not be it, right? I know you love looking at financial statements and talking to bankers and taxes, right? All of that's so much fun. So we've created a way for entrepreneurs to get better clarity on their numbers without getting bogged down by all the BS of it. Because you as a business owner need to focus on what's important for you. You don't need to be dealing with the day-to-day crap of is this coded correct? And so that's what we do is we help companies get that day-to-day stuff taken care of so that you can excel at writing your book and building your website and going and selling services or products to your clients and making a difference rather than getting stuck in the minutia of so that's what we do. We've created lots of people do that. And so I don't know where all of you guys are in your journey of starting your companies. So I'm going to go pretty high level and then we'll open the floor to Q&A. So if you want to get deeper into it, I would love to. So let me share screen and show you all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk about cash flow. A lot of people want to focus on profit, and profit, if you think about it, oh, that's my bottom line. That's what I get to take home. Well, that's true. And profit is very important. And it's actually something that I prioritize. However, if you don't have cash flow, you don't have profit and you don't have a company. More companies fail, not because they don't have work, but because they don't have cash. So it is essential to understand cash flow and how money moves within your company so you can succeed and get to that next level, to get to the freedom that you want, whether it's freedom of time, freedom of money, and break through whatever's holding you back to get to where you want to go. So I'm going to teach you how to set up your company the right way so you can make a profit and keep it. For context, I'm speaking about US. So if you're in other countries, there's different legalities that honestly, I'm not an expert in. So if you're in Hungary and you want to start a company, I don't have you at all, but I can tell you 100% how to still do your books. Your financials. So just from the paradigm, the legal system and the tax system that I'm talking about in the US. But we do have clients that are worldwide that are elsewhere. So we're going to talk about picking the right entity. So if you've already started a company, let's talk about the options. And if you haven't started a company, let's talk about the options so you can understand which one's best, because it's confusing. And then the other thing is the tax election. So a lot of people get confused. They think that I'm a LLC and so I'm a company, or I'm an S Corp and so that's what I am. But it's actually two separate things, and people miss this point. And quite frankly, they leave money on the table big time if they don't get clarity on this. So I'm going to talk about the differences so you can understand which one's best for you. And then we're going to talk about the documents that you need to get set up. Again, it's not flashy, but it's something that has to be done so that you can be protected as an individual and you can protect your family and your future. And then we're also going to talk about profits, because profits are great, but we also need cash flow. So just trying to figure out how all of these crazy pieces go together. And look, I know it's a lot. When you hear that you're going to talk to an accountant, you probably just want to rather poke your eyes out. But so it's your money and you need to know where it's going on with it, because ultimately it's your future, it's your legacy, it's your family that you're watching out for. So I'm going to try to keep it real basic and not get too much in the weeds. And if you want to get in the weeds later on, I've got tons of resources for that. And we're going to talk about what numbers you really need to pay attention to so that you, as the leader of your company, can know what's going on. And then of course, how to properly manage cash flow, because money in and money out, someone on your team needs to know what's going on with your money. So the question is, why is this valuable? Well, 82% of businesses fail, again, because of cash, not because of work. The majority of entrepreneurs are starting a business. They can't afford to access the exports. Like I own a company. I'm multiple hundreds of dollars an hour. And part of this resource, I partnered with a business attorney. He's multiple hundreds of dollars an hour. So this training is coming from a perspective of an attorney and a business accountant. So we get paid thousands of dollars to clean up messes. So we've created this training to help you before you need us, so that you don't have to pay us thousands of dollars to clean up your messes. So just all the stuff, like I understand there's lots of pieces and it's confusing, but we're going to talk about cash flow. We're going to talk about entities, and we're going to talk about profit so that you can keep more of it. So real quick, you actually do have to, you're going to grow a successful company. Like there's no snake oil, there's no magic. You actually have to put in, you build your team around you, you will be able to succeed in that. I'm not getting, this isn't like do these 5 things and you'll be a millionaire when you wake up. Like that doesn't work. You actually have to put in the time and the effort. But what we want to do is give you the framework and some tools to help you do that and make better decisions. So who am I? I've got over 15 years of experience working with small businesses in multiple industries. I've got construction, I've got manufacturers, I've got like e-commerce, I've got business coaches, I've got hairstylists, people from all across the board. I mean, if you want a high-end, like jacked up Jeep with all the lifts and stuff, one of my clients does that. Like, so I've got clients that do all kinds of crazy things and they're fantastic. So we manage over $350 million for our clients. So we're not just working with pennies, we're working with lots of zeros for our clients. Won some awards, people think I'm kind of cool. Brian's super fun, met him, he let me come talk to you, so I'm excited about that. Got some books, speak on stages, but mostly I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs. And the reason for that is because I wasn't always sitting on this side of the fence, growing a company. I was on the other side. I've succeeded in amazing ways at failing at building a company. And if you talk to a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they failed at lots of things before they hit one right. I have a lot of clients that are on company 3, 4, 5, 6 before they get to 6, 7 figures, because the first ones, we call them tuition. And so I have a lot of tuition of my own. Couple companies tried and failed. You buy the box sets thinking that's going to get you somewhere. It didn't. Advertising business, I had one client, didn't go well. Travel agency didn't work. I worked for a nonprofit. I was a budget cut, helped a company get through in the construction industry, get through 1819 and or 2009 crash. And ultimately that company filed bankruptcy because of cash flow. And the owner lost track. He had 99 employees and a $9 million company and had to file bankruptcy. And that's where I was at the point where I had two options. I either had to go get a job and help build someone else's legacy, or I was going to start my own company, build my own legacy, and have a much bigger impact than just helping one person. So my goals when I started out were financial freedom for myself and my family, my business, and to own a company, a firm where I could help lots of people and to pay it forward, because there's a lot of people along the way that helped me and gave me advice and answered my phone calls when they had no business answering my phone calls, and returning emails when I was, didn't have anything. So I wanted to be able to help lots of people from struggling to just like.
Well, it looks like we lost our signal for a second. Let me just shoot her a quick text here, guys. Let's see. I think we lost. Let's give her a chance to come back in. Hold on a second, guys. Make sure that you guys are writing down any questions that you have along the way. We'll get to some good Q&A. So she's somebody that can help with filing LLCs. Which structure to start with, whether it's an S corp, an LLC, things of that nature. Let me just see.
Brian,
Yes.
will she be sharing her slides with you that you can share with us?
I'm sure we can. Yeah, let me write that down.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, that's actually really important for me, because as soon as I get my resident license down here, I'm creating my LLCs for my businesses and about how to go on taxes. And I really don't know which direction I'm going, so I can really use this right now.
No, I'm telling you, it's the perfect, she's the perfect person to be talking to. Like I said, is starting to build your first companies and without having to hire a full-time CFO. So it looks like she's back with us now. So.
Yes, I lost internet, and so
No
now
worries.
I'm in my kids' room.
No worries.
Like Lilo and Stitch. All right, so that's exactly.
Jaleesa was asking if we could get these slides afterwards.
Yeah, totally. Is it okay if I give them to you like in a PDF and you can have them from there?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So what we do is we get clarity on the numbers and find hidden revenue. When we work with companies, we can typically find 2 to 10% to put to the bottom line. And that means 2 to 10% more in your pocket, or more to reinvest into your company, into hiring an assistant, getting new software, all of those wonderful things. So let's just get into it, because it's so much fun to talk about entities. So look, in the US, there's different types of legal entities. So this is step one, is you've got to figure out which legal entity you want. So a sole proprietor is Robert, and any money he brings in goes to him. Any money he spends goes to him. There's limitations of being a sole proprietor. A couple of them are related to taxes and most importantly, asset protection. If you, Robert, I don't know what you do, but if you're out driving your company vehicle and you're a sole proprietor and you hit somebody, they can sue you and because you aren't a company, and you lose your house and your retirement and your kids' college funds, as long as it's not in a trust, right? So being a sole proprietor is great if your son delivers newspaper or cuts people's grass. But if you are going to actually function as a business owner, a sole proprietor is super limiting. And quite frankly, it's dangerous for you and your family. So the next option is a corporation. So this is an Inc. or a CO, a corp, and that is an actual entity that is separate from you. So Robert is here, the company is here. Now there's advantages to this because there is protection because you are not your company, okay? But it's not as good protection as a limited liability, and I'll get to that in a second. A lot of big companies like Johnson & Johnson, P&G, like all of those are corporations. And the benefit of that is they're easier to buy and sell. So if you want to build something that you're going to sell or go public, like big time, a corporation is a key tool for that. However, you are still limited in regards to your personal protection. Corporations are good if you're going to have lots of people leading it, all of those things. A limited liability corporation company or an LLC is what we recommend for most people because it can be a single member or a multi-member. So if it's just Alex doing websites, it's just Alex as an LLC and he's a single member. So Alex, you make money for building websites and all your expenses are expenses and they roll to you for taxes. And you have a higher level of protection legally than a corporation. Okay. And then a general partnership is mostly for like attorneys and certified professionals. So that one's not a priority. Most of you might just be operating as a sole proprietor right now. I guarantee you, you are paying too much in taxes. If you're running your company as a sole proprietor, you are paying too much in taxes because the tax structure, which is the second part, is going to you as an individual and you get less deductions. So you're paying too much in taxes. So once you figured out which legal structure, corporation, LLC, sole proprietor you want, the next thing that you have to do in the United States is to pick your tax election. And this is how the IRS sees you. So if you're an individual, you and the company are one and the same. It goes straight through to a pass through, and you don't have, if you're a sole proprietor, you don't get to write off as much. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on this, but you're paying too much in taxes. Now, if you are a partnership, you can be an LLC. So that is if Sally and John wanted to start a hair salon, they would be an LLC and a partnership. The key thing about that is, I don't know if anyone's been married here. Anyone also been divorced? Wasn't that fun? Right? Those were messy. Yeah. Yeah. People get along so well when they're getting a divorce. And here's the thing. People get along so well when they're starting a company. They have ideas and they're, whiteboarding everything and they've got great ideas. And it's going to be so much fun. We're going to live the life. We're going to make more money. And then they start a company and, oh no, it's not nearly as much fun as they thought. So partnerships are very good tax-wise, but also understand that you are getting in bed with this person as long as the business exists. And if something happens to John, Sally could then be in business with John's partner, wife, husband, whatever. Sally might not like John's wife. They might not get along and want to run the hair salon. So when you have a partnership, you have to have something called an operating agreement, which is basically, think of it like a prenup for your business. So this is how we're going to agree on what our company is worth. This is how we're going to agree on if we don't want to be in business anymore. This is what's going to happen if one of you dies or decides the other one's an idiot. right? Like all of these things need to be worked out. So partnerships are fantastic. A couple of my companies are partnerships. My recommendation is you have those hard conversations beforehand. So if you're a drinker, go out and have some drinks and then just go through what happens if you die? What happens if you start to annoy me? What happens if we start making a ton of money and you stop showing up for work? Like all of these scenarios you need to have fleshed out, because most of us don't go into marriage thinking we're going to exit them because we wouldn't go into them, right? So when you go into business, you don't go into business thinking it's going to end. A lot of them do. So partnerships are fantastic. Just make sure you iron out all of those uncomfortable conversations beforehand. Because people change when there's piles of green on the table or lots of zeros in a bank account. But tax-wise, it's great. What the money from the company goes to you as an individual, and you have to pay taxes on that. An S Corp is also has an S election. Now, so a lot of people say, oh, I'm an S Corp. Okay, well, most people are typically a corporation and an S Corp, but you can also be an LLC. So it gets a little confusing. The main thing about an S Corp is you have to pay yourself a salary. So if you own shares in an S Corp, you have to be on payroll. Benefit is it saves on unemployment tax, or because the company pays again, from the US perspective, pays your unemployment and your Social Security. So that's a company expense, which is great, which is 7.65%. So if you are an individual or a partner, you need to put away for every dollar that comes in, at least 15% for the tax man, because he coming and he gonna take it. So if you do not want to set aside that 15% of every dollar that comes in, be an S Corp, get on payroll and have the company pay the money. And I have clients that are doing $3 million and they'll come to me and they have, their stuff's a mess. And I look at them, I'm like, okay, well, you're an S Corp, but I don't show any payroll. How do you get paid? Oh, well, I just take money when I need it. Let me tell you how the IRS sees that, right? Like, don't do, so danger. So being an S Corp is fine. It does have some limitations in the big picture for taxes. So if you're going to be like huge, like tens of millions, there's some limitations with being an S Corp, but out the gate, if you don't want to put away 15% of it, 15 cents of every dollar that comes in, you can do that with payroll through an S Corp. A C Corp has benefits and, just like everything else, disadvantages. So the benefits are, if you want to go public, if you want outside investor money, being a C Corp is the ideal situation because there's checks and balances and there's fully separation between you as the person and your company. The problem is with a C Corp, you don't pay taxes on that money twice. No. You pay taxes on that money twice. So with an individual, a partner, an S Corp, if the company makes money at the end of the day, the profit, say it's $10,000, it goes to your individual tax return, or you split it 50-50 with your partner. But a corporation has $10,000 in net income, they pay taxes, and then it rolls to your personal return and you pay taxes again. So an S Corp is a good time, except you have to pay taxes twice. Big companies and lots of people own multiple companies and multiple corporations. You've heard like shell companies. So a lot of people's shell company is an S Corp and it's like the top, and then they have other companies below it that are connected. That gets really complicated. So if you are just starting out, we recommend being an LLC and being taxed as an individual or as a partner. And again, if you're getting in bed with somebody, figure out what kind of coffee they like before you do and how to not piss them off. If you do piss them off, what that's going to look like. If you want to down the road get out like VC money, investor money, those kind of things, an S Corp would be ideal. And then if you want to be on payroll, being a corporation, legal corporation, taxed as an S Corp. I know that's confusing and it's a whole lot. Wait till you go to the IRS website and get to answer all the questions because it gets way worse. Aren't you excited? The big thing is to start with the end in mind. If you're just wanting to cut grass, okay, well, what happens once you start making money? So if your goal is to build an empire, then you need to play like you're building an empire, not like you're cutting your neighbor's grass. Does that make sense? Like you can't just act like it's all going to be fine. The next thing is all of the documents. The operating agreement is the prenup that I talked about. This is also helpful if it's just you all by yourself. Because if you have a spouse or children and something were to happen, they need to know what to do with your company. They need to know how it's valued. The operating agreement also talks about shares or units. So if you have a partner, again, the operating agreement, like required, I understand it costs money. It's going to save you thousands of dollars if you can do it now. I had a construction client that it was two guys. They were actually landscapers, and it was all great at first, and they didn't have an operating agreement. And one of them basically got greedy and tired of working, and the other one was pissed because he wasn't showing up anymore. And because they didn't have an operating agreement, it was like a handshake deal. It cost them thousands of dollars in legal fees to figure out who was going to do what and how are they going to be compensated. The next thing that you have to have are articles of organization if you're an LLC, or articles of incorporation if you're going to be a corporation. And that goes back to step number 1 of your legal structure. This is a legal document that says, hey, here's my name. Here's what our legal structure is. Here's the day we started doing business. And this is a formality, but you will be amazed at how many people ask for this document. Banks, investors, credit card companies. If you want to get a vehicle in the company name, they're going to ask for this. So it has to be done, and remember where you put it. Okay. The next is your tax ID. This is your company's social security number. And even if you're a sole proprietor, it's best to have a tax ID number. These are free. You go to the IRS website, go to irs.org, get an FEIN number. Fun fact, the irs.org website doesn't work after 11 o'clock Eastern because our government isn't functional at bedtime, apparently. So do it during normal business hours would be my recommendation. But you're going to need that tax ID number so that when people give you money, it's how they identify that they paid you. The next thing is a bank account. And to open a bank account, you're going to need 1, 2, and 3. So these are in order. If you have a buddy who's an attorney, she or he can help you out. You can do the online legal Zoom deals, whatever. But these have to be in place. The operating agreement and the articles of organization, the operating agreement costs money, the articles of incorporation, the EIN don't, and then bank account's a bank account. Let me harp on the bank account for a hot minute. You are not your company, and your company is not your piggy bank. So just because your company has money doesn't mean that Sally has money. So make sure that your bank, your personal bank, and your company bank are different. Because if you treat them as the same, so will the IRS. And so will anyone that sues you. Because if you're using your personal account for business and your business account for personal, and you run into somebody and they decide to sue you, well, there's going to be a really good argument that all of those assets are the company's assets, not your personal assets. I have seen people try to take other people to the cleaners on this one because they had a personal credit card. They had it was like a Capital One, and they were using it for business purposes. Someone tried to sue them. They subpoenaed the credit card records, and they went after him personally because he was using his personal credit card for business expenses. So like church and state people, set it up. It's not your personal bank account. If you need money from the bank, the company, either take it through payroll or write yourself a check and then go spend it. I don't care what you spend it on, but use it out of your personal account. Because if you treat them the same, so will the government. The next thing is to protect your profits. This is huge because it is your money. I don't care how many zeros you're making or not making. It's all your zeros. Whatever number's in front of them, it's all of your money. You are working hard. You're sacrificing your time and energy, time away from family, to make this money. You need to track it. You need to see where it's coming in and out of. And if you don't want to do this, there's tons of bookkeepers out there. I have 2 bookkeeping companies. We can help. There's lots of people. Go to bench.co. There's lots of people that will track your money for a heck of a lot cheaper than you. Because you as the business owner can only do what you do. You can go out and knock on doors. You can go out and cut hair. You can go write your book and speak on stages. A bookkeeper can't do those things, and she or he are cheaper than you are. So one way or the other, someone needs to be tracking your money in real time. Money in, money out, and coding it to places. I'm not going to get into the details about how all that works, but someone's got to know where your money is in real time. The next is it is helpful to open multiple checking accounts to stay organized. There's a great tool called Profit First, and there's other money management systems. But if you pull up your account and you see there's $10,000, you're going to think you can spend $10,000. But here's the fun fact. If you're a sole proprietor, 15% of that's the government's, not yours. And you might have a loan payment that's $1,000 for your truck. And then your credit card might be due next week. That's another $3,000. So you don't have $10,000. You have about $4,500. And a lot of business owners make the mistake of seeing money in the bank and spending it and not portioning out how it goes. So we highly recommend having multiple checking accounts. And if you just want like one for the money you have to spend, open one for savings, open one for tax. Like if you put 1% of every dollar that comes into tax and 1% to a profit account, that's better than nothing, because at the end of the day, when the tax man comes, you at least have something to give him. So label your money for what it's based on and how you're going to use it. Guys, I've had a client that did $8 million a year and couldn't make payroll because if he saw money in the bank, he spent it. And so I had to go in and divide up all of his money, name all the money, and take his credit card and reduce the limit and be like, dude, you have 400 employees. This is how much you can spend. When it says decline, you're done. Because you'd be amazed. He was $8 million company. And then the other thing is financial statements do matter. Y'all, financial statements tell a story about your company, and the financial world understands that story. And if you don't, and you go into a bank and you don't understand what it is, you're going to be in trouble. Think of it like going home with when you're a kid with a report card and the teacher sealed it and you didn't know what it was. Right? And so you go home, you give it to mom, she opens the envelope and you're holding your breath because you're like, am I in trouble or am I not? Because I've been talking all year. Right? And I didn't do my homework like 12 times. You can't do that with your financial statements when you walk into a bank or to try and get outside money one way or the other, or try to sell. So you need to understand what your financial statements are saying about your company, because other people understand. And if you don't, you will be taken advantage of, and you will not get the money that you think you need to get to run your company. Again, it's your money. And look, guys, it doesn't need to be you. If you're startup and you're bootstrapping, cool. Get QuickBooks, sync your bank account, and roll. But if not, hire it out. There's people overseas that can do this for $7 an hour. There's more economical ways to do it, because if you're wasting your time doing your books, it's taking away from you doing what your zone of genius is, the thing that you're truly good at. And the next thing is to find your hidden cash. You would not believe how many clients that we have are leaving money on the table because they forget to invoice, or they don't invoice in real time. Because if you have someone come to your house to fix your plumbing, Mr. Plumber doesn't leave until you swipe your credit card. So if you're providing a service or selling a product, the closer you can close the gap between when you provide that service or product and when you collect money, the easier it's going to be to collect that money. I have a client, they're up in New York, and they have $500,000 in money that's owed to them because they just haven't sent emails. Right? Like, that's ridiculous. That money is there. They've already provided the service for it, but they haven't sent the emails to go and collect the money. So as you're looking at finding hidden cash, close that window from the time that you provide your service or product to getting the money into your business bank account. The next thing is to know when your bills are due. You can pay an enormous amount of interest and finance charges by being late. Seriously, like we can find thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars, depending on the size of the company, just because they're not paying their bills on time. Everyone will tack on a $20 thing because you're 30 days late, or 1.8% because you're 30 days late. Credit cards that carry a balance, credit cards are a great tool. I highly recommend using them, but using them wisely. If you carry balance on your credit cards, it's anywhere from, I mean, the best ones I've seen are 12%. I've seen 35% interest on credit cards. So know when your bills are due and pay them on time, and you will save yourself money and not be throwing away money. I have a client, their erosion, they move dirt. She's an American Express. She pays over $1,000 a month in credit card fees because she doesn't pay it on time. And she just says she's too busy. And so I went in and I put calendar reminders on her calendar in her Outlook. This is pay the Amex. Like you're leaving money, you're throwing money away because you're not paying your bills on time. The other is to know when loan payments are due. If you've got a company truck, a loan on a whatever, those are big chunks of cash that are coming out. And a lot of us, when we start up, we get loans that don't have good rates. I call them crack loans because we just need cash, right? Like I need 5,000 just to make payroll. I got to get 5,000. So you go to like Uncle Vinny, right? And you get those crack loans. Those are big amounts of money going out. And again, a lot of times they're not at great interest rates. Know when those due, pay them off as quickly as you can, because that's money that you're leaving on the table that you shouldn't be. The next is only spend money when you have it. And when you flip the equation of the typical accountant is going to tell you sales less expenses equals profit. And then we all just cross our fingers to say, I hope there's profit. Maybe I'll make something this year, right? But if you flip that equation on its head and you say sales less profit equal expenses, you will have a profit and you will have better cash flow. Because there's some dirty lie that goes around that says just because you're the business owner, you shouldn't get paid. That's a crock, because you are the one that is doing the hard work. And so if you can take your sales, take money off the top, I'm not saying take all of it. I'm not saying don't pay your people, don't pay your bills, but if you flip that equation on your head, it'll make you think and it'll make you smarter with your money. Because if you're taking money off the top and leaving the rest for expenses, you have a smaller amount to spend, which means you'll behave better. And when the bills come due and you don't have enough, it makes you think, do I really need that? Do I really need to be spending that money? So we've got a timeline that we use. In 60 days, you can have all of this done. I'll give you the PDF for this. I know we're getting short on time. You know, we've talked about it. Businesses, 500,000 start each month. 82% don't make it. But if you have your house in order, we can survive. And I've got some tools for you. Brian, I think you've got links for these, but we can share them to your group later. I'll send you this book. It's a free download. It's 14 Deadly Sins of Business. And this is a book that I wrote with Stan, the attorney that I talked to you about. It's a great tool. It's a lot of what I talked to you about already, but it goes into more detail. And then my most recent book is Start with Profit. I'll send you guys a link for this as well. Both of them are free downloads. I mean, obviously, you know, I'll reach out and email you with other valuable content, and you can unsubscribe after you've read the book. It's fine. But these are just great tools to help you. Because if you can get your house in order from the front end, you will save buku's money. To have to pay me to come clean it up. I had a client pay me $15,000 last week to clean up a mess that they could have avoided had they done it right the first time.
Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, you just don't think. You get an idea, you just start running, you create a business and you go. So guys, a lot of what Pam, when she talks about cleaning up, it's like somebody that's been in business for 5 or 10 years and they just never took the time to get somebody that's qualified to kind of go through their business layer by layer. And it's much easier and much wiser to get some of this stuff under your belt. So The chat was blowing up there, so these guys are really digging it.
Okay, good.
First of all, Pam, how can anybody that might want to take a deeper dive with you get a hold of you or figure out, what services? I saw the chat blowing up, asking some questions.
Yeah, no, perfect. So my website is pamjordan.com. I'm going to put it in there. And my company is pivotbusinessgroup.com. I'll put both of those in the chat. I have other companies. Like I said, I've got lots of companies because there's lots of ways to help all y'all. So I put there, I'm on LinkedIn at Pam Jordan. All my social, Instagram, Facebook is Pam Jordan CFO. So reach out, would love to help. I've got a blog. I've got books. So if any of this is what you need, I would love to help. I will give Brian the links for both of those books so you can download those if that's helpful. And then I'll get you the PDF of this presentation. And I have courses, like if you're a do-it-yourselfer, I've got those available. So you can buy those and, get all the content. A lot of what I talked about today, I've got a course that goes in depth, and it's actually comes with a sample operating agreement and those kind of tools if it's something that you're interested in. So there's lots of resources and lots of ways that we can help.
I love it. I love it. Maybe we'll, if you're open to it, maybe we'll bring you back and do a deeper dive Q&A, because I think there's a lot of questions here. There's one that I just see here about the benefits of hiring your children.
Perfect. Yeah. So first off, those little blessings are tax deductions, and they can also work for your company. For example, did you know that your children can be on your marketing team if they're in your social media? And you can pay them $12,000 a year to be on your marketing team. You can pay them $12,000 a year to empty the trash cans, to wash your company trucks, to do a myriad of other things. You can pay them more than that, but then it gets into a different tax deal. But it's 100% a company expense. And I have clients that we put their children on payroll. And the additional expense, just so you're clear, is you do have to do a tax return for them, but because they have no expenses, it's, $100. But it's a tax deduction for the company, and they put it straight into their college fund. Like, those kids don't even see it. Like, one kid, he's 8, he doesn't even know he's on payroll, right? But they're putting $12,000 of tax-free money, like company expense money, into a college fund for this kid.
Yeah, you can also, if you're paying your kids, you can buy clothes for them. You can buy anything you're going to spend for your child. You can have them buy it for themselves through that income. Is that correct?
Correct. And private school is a big one. So if you have kids in private school, put them on salary, put the money into a bank account, and use that money to pay tuition.
Yeah.
And your company just paid tuition. Now, the big long-term deal with that is, if you're looking to ever exit, you need to make sure that you can clarify that those were your family and they're what's called an add back to the company value. So, I had my kids on payroll, it's $30,000 a year. So that goes to the bottom line, and everyone's like, roll their eye. Yeah, okay, we all do it.
Very cool.
And so if you're ever looking to outside entities, just let them know, hey, my kids are on payroll. But look, dude, I've had girlfriends and wives and kids on payroll for the same company. Like, girlfriend didn't do nothing but buy shoes, but she was on payroll.
Yeah, you're just taking advantage of, of the laws. That's all. It's perfectly fine.
And it's not illegal. Do they do something for the company?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
So John had a question, but that looks like a pretty hefty one, John. We're getting to the end. Maybe connect with Pam through some of the channels she had there. And like I said, Pam, if you're open to it, I'd love to just come back and do a Q&A now that these guys have seen a little bit about what you do. And I think we'd probably spend a whole hour on questions.
I know. And everyone, I know. That's why, go to my website. Would love to help. Hit me on social. We can schedule a time. We have recommendation, but everyone's different. And if you're looking for help on the accounting side, like, that's what we do. We'll do your books. We'll be your fractional CFO. We'll deal with the tax guy. Like, we can do all that. Or I can just tell you, hey, you might be best to do XYZ. Good luck. Wish you well.
Awesome.
Can I just ask a quick question, B?
Sure.
How about an author? Should I have a separate bank account?
120%. Yes.
Okay, I got to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, business
So-
is business, guys. It doesn't matter if you're an author, if you're riding horses or mowing lawns. It's business is business.
Yeah.
If you're receiving money, you don't want to do it personally.
Not at all. So create an LLC as an individual, get a tax ID number, go get you a bank account, because guess what? All your travel for writing your book, company expense. All of the income, all of the speaking, the advertising, all company expense. And if you were a sole proprietor, none of that counts, babe. Like, well, I don't want to lie. Some of it counts, but not nearly as much. So 100%, yeah. If you're making money, you are a company, act like it.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate your time. I'm honored that you guys let me chat
No,
with you
same
tonight.
here. Just really blessed that you took some time out of your busy schedule to work with us. So thank you so much for coming. And like I said, love to have you back. This community is always growing, and this is really this is where our hearts are helping, aspiring entrepreneurs to grow. So thank you for your time, and hopefully you guys get some value out of this. If you did, make sure to light it up in the Facebook group and let everybody else know what they're missing. And until next week, guys, be well and God bless. Pam, thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you.